I'm Derek Martin. I'm the website manager for Robertson Used Photo Pro. I've been with the company for 15 years. Typically, I'm going to have an OMD EM1 Mark II with me. Usually, if I'm just walking around for my own sake, it'll have this little 17mm on it here. Any number of other lenses might be in there. These days, I also usually have at least one film camera on me any given day. A lot of the time, it's a little Olympus Pen D2 half frame, but I've also been out with a Leica 3F, Olympus OM2. I've got a 4x5 folding cycle Poco from the late 1800s that I carry around. It depends. My favorite subject to photograph is people, which comes as a surprise to me because I've typically had a lot of social anxiety issues, and the idea that what I would spend my career doing is taking portraits of people that basically requires me to interact with other people every time I want to take a photo, a hobby which by all accounts you can practice on your own, is kind of flooring, but that's really where I've found my groove, and that's really the sort of work that gives me energy and keeps me going. The important thing about what you choose to do with photographic work is that you get energy from it. In any creative endeavor, there's going to be work that you find energizing, sometimes even despite yourself, and work that you find emotionally taxing. And not that it's not valuable or important to sometimes do that work that's taxing, but for your personal work, it's more important to focus on what you find yourself energized by. And for whatever various reasons, working with people and doing studio photography especially have been the sort of work that gives me energy. I can do it almost non-stop without feeling exhausted, whereas certain other types of photography frustrate me or wear me out much more quickly. I really feel it's important to print your work. I know we live in the digital age and most images are shared digitally, but the ephemeral nature of that, not being able to live with those images longer than they're on the screen, really does them a disservice. Printing your work and hanging it up helps you establish a feeling for who you are as a photographer and what you do in a way that you may not even understand until you start doing it. At home and at the office, I've got a photo wall, and I'll take prints from a session, especially if I'm torn between two variants of the same concept, and I'll print them and I'll hang them on that wall and I'll live with them for a little bit. And being able to see your photos, not just when you pull up your device or just when you're on social media, but actually living with them, is a wonderful way to help sort out what actually works for you and what doesn't. And I've been surprised sometimes after letting them sit up which photos I'm still drawn to a week later versus what I thought was the shot when I first walked out of that session. This project is called the Chicken Skull Reification. It is the third in a series of work I've done where I have various people wearing these homemade chicken skull masks doing various things. The series actually is about teacups, and that gets buried sometimes under the chicken skull on purpose because it's a little bit of a Dada exercise. It started in college with an assignment where the professor gave us a one and only shoot where everyone in the class had to turn in so many photos of the same subject, which was a teacup and saucer. And I hadn't even finished being given that assignment before it was insufferably boring. So instead, I made a bunch of chicken skull masks and just happened to include a teacup and saucer in every photo. Along the way, they stopped being literal teacups and started being ever crazier things, chalk drawings on the ground, hitchhiking signs, and that has continued into this series. This series, the third iteration of it, is called the Reification because it's about finally doing it right. I feel like I've got to a place in my experience, to a place in my budget, where I can do all of the things that I've been trying to do with the other two series, except this time actually get it to look like it does in my head. So it's all about making sure the concepts work, making sure the photos are what I want, and spending the time or the money or whatever it is that's needed for that shot to make it work this time. Hey, this is Derek. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.